All right. Hey, everybody. It is our virtual field trip. I've never done this before. Um, I am, like you, very disappointed that we can't go to the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City in person. But to still give you a little bit of that experience, I am doing this virtual tour for you. Now, this building that you see in front of you is the Met. It's actually one of a couple different places in New York City that are referred to as the Met. So the Met is the kind of nickname for the Metropolitan Museum of Art. There's also a place at Lincoln Center that has operas that is referred to as the Met because it's the Metropolitan Opera House. And then, of course, you know my team, the Mets. So it can get a little confusing in New York City. But we're going to check out the Metropolitan Museum of Art today. So we're going to see three different galleries. We're going to see Egypt, we're going to see Greece, and we're going to see Rome. So we're going to start with Egypt. So I'm using someone else's video, but I've muted them, and I'm going to talk over and explain what you're seeing. All right. So as we jump into the Egyptian gallery, as I full screen this, yes. So you can see already there's bits and fragments on the walls because these are the actual things from ancient times. Like none of this is fake. This is real stuff. Some stuff they found in pieces and haven't put back together. So as we walk through the Egyptian gallery with this guy's camera, you can see the actual carvings on some of these pieces. This one has full color that hasn't faded, which is pretty cool. His camera work gets a little better. Right now he's kind of zooming in on different things. But you could see all the different hieroglyphics and different scenes of ancient Egyptian life because they like to paint themselves on different things. Some of the artifacts are not in color, like these. The color has faded. So there you see some Egyptian statues. In ancient times, statues are a common thing because there's no cameras, there's no selfies, there's no Instagram. So if you wanted to show how you looked, you would hire a sculptor to make you a statue. So we can see different artifacts of different pharaohs. Now this, I'm going to pause it for a second. This is pretty cool. So when we were learning, and let me pause that on a better kind of image, like this. When we were learning about the ancient Egyptians, one of the things we learned about is Queen Hatshepsut. And if you remember what we learned about Queen Hatshepsut, that she was a female ruler, and that a lot of her statues were destroyed because of the whole they were like, oh, a female ruler, that's going to upset Ma'at, which is the goddess of balance, and they needed balance for the whole weighing of the heart. So these are some of the statues that survived some of the damage. That's pretty cool to look at. All right, so as we go a little further in this room, so you could see there's obviously some damage here. It was probably just thrown down on the ground and chipped. But the Met has some of these all together. So this is all depictions of Hatshepsut. This one is probably one of the most famous depictions because that is made out of ivory. So elephant tusks, they carve that material, which is pretty insane. So this is extremely rare. There you can see one that definitely was damaged. They have statues of Hatshepsut from ancient times that survive some of the damages. So this gives you some pictures of the wigs of ancient Egypt that you could see. There's some more hieroglyphics. So you can see all the different symbols and things. Remember way back in the day, we wrote our names in hieroglyphics. So this is pretty interesting. This is like some toe bling, I like to call it. So when I unpause it, I know it's blurry. You're going to see what looks like flip-flops, but this is made all out of gold. And then these were things you would put on your fingers and toes. So you could be extra fancy. So there we have some more stuff made out of gold. There's some more finger toe bling, some bracelets that you see there. So now we're getting into some objects that the Egyptians would put inside the tombs. These little figurines. Those are kind of a bigger version of a shabti. There we see a bull kind of figure, which is pretty intense and cool looking. There's some more hieroglyphics that you see, which is pretty amazing how they like chiseled everything. There are no actual mummies in the Metropolitan Museum of Art, but there's a lot of sarcophagi, I guess is the correct thing. There's different images of certain pharaohs that have been restored. You can see some of the damages. Now these guys, these are what's called shabtis. So when we learned about ancient Egypt, we learned that the Egyptians would be buried with these little figures called shabtis that they believed that when they made it to the afterlife, these shabtis would come to life and be their servants in the underworld. So you can see all the different little figurines the Egyptians had. Here's some more depictions of different symbols of power for the Egyptians. So you can see some images of daily life of the Egyptians. You can see the person carrying food and supplies. Those are offerings to different temples and gods. There's some more shabti little figures. It's amazing the detail that goes into the work that the ancient Egyptians had, which is pretty amazing. So here we have some more kind of figures because we're about to enter a different part of the Egyptian exhibit called the Temple of Dendor that I'm going to get into in a second. But first I want to go over some more things. So this guy is like the unofficial logo of the Metropolitan Museum of Art. His name is William the Hippo, and he's pretty cool. So you could see his feet obviously have been restored. They were broken off at one point in ancient times, but this guy was he's an Egyptian artifact. I'm kind of making him dance. So he is something that's been in the Egyptian artifacts, and about 100 years ago, back in 1918, so a little more than 100 years ago, William was first put on display, and the people loved him. They thought he was really cute and everything, and the Met viewed that as, ooh, this is a good tool for marketing, and they made a whole bunch of products. So you can, if you go to the Met gift shop, you can buy like William stuffed animals, William keychains. He is like the unofficial mascot of the Met, and he's an ancient Egyptian artifact. All right, one of the other really cool things in the ancient Egyptian exhibit is they have an actual Book of the Dead. Now, this is going to be a little meta because you're watching a video now and you're going to watch a video on the video. But this is going to explain the whole weighing of the heart section of the Book of the Dead using the artifacts that they have right there. So I'm not going to talk. We're going to let the Met talk for a second.
One of the most important spells in Imhotep's Book of the Dead is the weighing of the heart, also known as the Judgment of Osiris. This is a long spell with a large, intricate illustration. To become one of the blessed dead, Imhotep must appear before Osiris to prove that...
So let me just stop for a second. Imhotep is the person whose Book of the Dead scroll this was.
He has lived according to the proper moral code, Ma'at. First, Imhotep is purified with water, so he may enter the Hall of Judgment. Then the goddess Ma'at, embodiment of the ideal order of the cosmos, leads him into the hall. Surrounded by the gods, each holding the feather of Ma'at or a knife for protection, Imhotep recites the negative confession. I have done no evil. I have not robbed. I have not been greedy. I have not killed anyone. I have not told lies. I have not plotted against the king. The falcon-headed Horus and the jackal-headed Anubis weigh Imhotep's heart against a figure of Ma'at. The ibis-headed Thoth, scribe of the gods, records the result. If the heart fails to balance, it will be eaten by the monstrous Amut, and Imhotep will die forever. If the scales remain level, Imhotep will join the company of Osiris, king of the blessed dead, for eternity.
All right. So pretty interesting stuff. And like I said, the Metropolitan Museum of Art has this Book of the Dead, and it is on display. All right. So probably one of the most famous parts of the Metropolitan Museum of Art is this that you're going to see on your screen in a second. Oh, not that. Hold on. That's pretty cool too, but I'll get back to that in a second. It's this, which is the Temple of Endor. So this is an actual Egyptian temple that I know you're like, oh, what's this? It's an actual Egyptian temple that I'm going to talk you through and we're going to check out. So let me hit play, let me full screen it, and let me start talking. Full screen is unavailable. All right, we'll have to deal with this. I've never seen that before. Okay, so as we walk into the gallery that has the Temple of Endor, it's a pretty magnificent sight. So if I walk around, you can see it here. Now I'm just going to pause this. Oh, that's why I wanted to go back. Hold on. Let's get a good view of the temple. Now I'm going to pause it. Let me pause it for a second. And I'm actually glad that I have the windows here to explain this. So here's the situation. This temple is an actual temple. It was built at the time that the Romans controlled Egypt. So a little foreshadowing preview. Yes, the Romans are going to take over Egypt. And this was sitting on the banks of the Nile River for a long time, many thousands and thousands of years, way after ancient Egyptian times. And what was happening is the Nile River kept flooding and damaging this temple. So the Egyptian government decided they needed to do something. They didn't want to tear the temple down. So they sent the call out to a bunch of museums and said, who is willing to take this temple? And it was a gift to the United States in 1968, and the Metropolitan Museum of Art was awarded this temple, but there was a catch. The catch was this. The Egyptian government said that it needed to be on display 24/7. Now, because they were like, it's always been on display in Egypt, so in America, it needs to be on display 24/7. Museums are not open 24/7, obviously. However, when the museum built the gallery, they put this floor-to-ceiling windows here so that technically someone could peek into the window anytime, day or night, and see the temple. So we keep it going. So you can see there's another piece of the temple right here. And it's a pretty magnificent structure, as you can see the aerial view of things. The Met also, it's one of the most visited parts of the Met. So as you can see, people cycling in and out. And yeah, you can even walk in to this little bit and get a close-up view of the temple. So in ancient times, that's where they would have offerings and things like that. So on part of the display, let me get a good angle here and pause it. on part of the display, they also have this water to represent the Nile River because this was on the banks of the Nile. Oh, look, it's a security guard. No. This gives you a good view from here of some statues that came along with it. So, as the video goes on, you're going to see, oh, the museum's now closed. We can get a closer look inside here. Yeah. Now, this is just a deity, meaning like a god or goddess. They're not sure who, but they put it here because this is where the priest would give the offerings to the god. So we're now inside temple that you could see right there, which is pretty cool. And look, it's nighttime. Someone can walk up to the glass outside and peek in. Now, this first image that you saw that I was like, oh, not this. What the Met does sometimes, because like this is how it looks normally. But the Met says that they want, people that visit to kind of get a sense of what it looked like in ancient times. So this colored version here, this colored in version, shows you what it looked like in ancient times. All these figures were colored. You could see, oh, look, there's some cartouches, which we know are nameplates. Look, there we see Horus, and he's got the double crown that you see there. There's the king of Lower Egypt, and then the Upper Egypt part is about to go in here, presenting some offerings to Horus, and then this is just like a priestess. So it's pretty cool that, all of these things that the ancient Egyptians made are on display. And you could even see, like here, this is an amulet called an ankh the person's holding. And there you can see some cartouches, all that kind of stuff. All right, so we're now going to move into Greece and Rome. All right, so we're leaving Egypt and heading to Greece and Rome. And my computer is like, you just showed a video of a video and I'm confused. So while we wait, let me close out of some of these things. Maybe that's the issue. You know how computers get. So as we're waiting for my computer, it's like halftime. So hopefully the Egyptian exhibit part is something you enjoyed. Hopefully it's something you and your family go visit. And here we go into Greece and Rome. Okay, so now one thing I will tell you with the Greece and Rome section is, let me get to some pottery. Yeah, so in a lot of art museums, and I'm sure if you've been to art museums, you've seen it, the Greeks and the Romans especially did not have the same kind of thoughts that say about nakedness, like as you know from the Olympics, like the Olympians competed naked. So a lot of the statues are naked. It's something that you can be mature enough to not let it distract you. I'll try and go very quickly through those parts so it's not awkward on the screen. So the first part of the exhibit that you're going to see is stuff that actually survived the destruction on Crete, stuff that made it. So that was for like different glasses. There's a little figurine. This all survived the volcanic eruption that destroyed Crete. So all of this is Minoan kind of pottery. And we learned that they were famous for their pottery and different things. You can see different figurines. That looks like some sort of horse maybe. There's some more pottery stuff. There you see a little figurine. There's some Minoan people chilling. Now, we know how much the Minoans were into bulls. And as you know, the female version of a bull is a cow. So there we see a bull. Because you remember the Minoans and their bull leaping. There we got a cow, which is pretty amazing, like how well this has stood up, the volcanic eruption and everything. That is an image of Mother Earth, Gaia, who we know that the Minoans were very into. There's some more Minoan imagery. Good. And then we get into some more pottery. Now we're moving into this piece. Well, let me just pause right here. Wait, let me pause right here. Before we get into like the Mycenaean part. So just a little trivia. So this part of the museum, the Greek gallery, if you are a fan of Percy Jackson and you've read the Percy Jackson books or watched the movie, the beginning of the first book when they're on a field trip, this is the museum that they're on a field trip to. And this is where the first kind of like Percy fighting the first thing takes place in this gallery. Pretty cool. Oh, while I'm here, so this is the top part and the bottom part of one of the columns of the Temple of Artemis, not the one that is like the seven wonder of the world, because that one obviously was destroyed, because the only seven wonder of the world left are the pyramids. What this is, it's like there's many temples to different gods and goddesses, and this was actually in Ionia, which is, as you know, used to be a lot of ancient Greeks lived there. And if we look at the type of column it is, let's see if you remember from what we learned. So Doric is pretty basic. Corinthian is what the middle school has, the super fancy looking. The scroll one that you can see here and here, that is Ionic. So hopefully you got that right. So we'll continue on with the torch. So this is now some Mycenaean art that you see here. So that's a really big piece of pottery with different scenes on it, depicting their lifestyle. You can see a little bit of a chariot, some horses, different things. There you see a pretty cool looking thing. That's like a griffin, like a mythological thing. Here we see some more Mycenaean objects and things. That guy is like a weird looking container. There's a weird looking pottery vase. There's a thing for like oil. So you would put like perfumed oil in there. There you can see some more like oil holders. It could be perfume. It could be olive oil. There we see some Greek. Now talk about like, marketing. So just like today, how they have action figures of certain things. Well, for Greek warriors, you can get an oil holder that looks like a warrior. Pretty cool. So here we see some more Mycenaean pottery. Now we're getting into more Athenian Greek and Corinthian Greek kind of stuff. There we saw a helmet for a second. Here's some more pottery with different images on it from ancient Greece that you see there, which is pretty cool. Here's some more. You're going to see so much pottery. You're going to be like, oh my gosh. Different pictures of Greek people. Because remember what I said, there's no like regular pictures. So they made a lot of stuff out of like sculptures and art. There's some more figurines. What's she doing on a frog? I have no idea. Standing on a frog. So we have some more pictures. Let me keep going through different things. Some more pictures. There's some more pieces of Greek structure. This is the outline of like a coffin. There we have some more pottery. I know you guys have seen a lot of pottery. Let's get to more interesting stuff. More pottery with different designs on it. You can see there. I mean, when you go to this exhibit, you see so much pottery. It's like a lot. It all starts to look the same after a bit. Oh, you're about to see something that hopefully you remember. So look, this person's taking a picture. That's weird. This person's taking a picture of this kind of pottery. So sometimes like the food would go into this pottery and then there's the design on the bottom. That's weird. All right. Oh, let's get to some Greek weapons and things like that. So here we have armor and helmets, and there we see some of their swords down here. So just like the Statue of Liberty, when something is made out of a certain material, it oxidizes and becomes green looking, which is why this is green. It wasn't green at the time in ancient times, but it looks green now. So let's keep moving. More pottery, more pottery. Let's get to this stuff. So this is something that you might know. It's like a hybrid sphinx-looking thing. You could see the Egyptian Greek influence. So when Alexander takes over Egypt, there's a big mixture of Greece and Egyptian culture, which is why you can see some elements there. So we got some more pottery. The Greek exhibit has lots of pottery. Oh, let's get to this guy. So this lion, there he is. So this guy over here, a marble of a lion that, somebody had in ancient Greece, and it survived, and it's on display in the museum, which is pretty cool. I think they had a close-up. Yeah, let's go here. So after we look at this person's finger, you're going to see a close-up of the lion. There it is, which is pretty cool. Hey, look, more pottery. All right, so we're going to keep it moving. So now, as I fast forward, we're getting into more depictions of just ordinary Greeks. And a lot of times, this isn't like some of you might be like, but wait, who is this? It's just a woman. Because like I said, families would have sculptures made of different people in their family because they couldn't take pictures. So the way that you decorate or your family decorates your home with pictures of your family, they decorated with sculptures of people. All right, so we're going to keep it moving into the intricate designs of like jewelry. So like that's a pin that someone would wear, which is pretty cool. There you can see different rings that they made, some earrings from ancient times. Those are for like perfumes. Oh, this is pretty interesting. So there you see a necklace. That's what you just saw for like perfume. So these big circular things are actually mirrors. So you would open this up. It's like a hand mirror, like the little small discs that sometimes people have when they want to like check what they look at. I know right now you probably just look at your phone to see what you look at, but back before then, some people used to carry around little pocket mirrors. Well, these aren't pocket mirrors, these are bigger mirrors. And you might be saying like, well, how come we can't see the glass? Well, the glass is long gone, and the art part of it is actually the outside design. There's a close-up of more perfume things, some more jewelry close-ups, which is pretty cool. That's a bracelet that they would wear. That's another bracelet. That's a little, it's not for the Olympics, but it's similar to it. It's a very decorative looking, like the way that some people today might wear headbands or things like that. A lot of times the women of ancient Greece would wear fancy like head decorations like that. So there we have some more jewelry. These are now going into this. This is just ordinary people. Like I said before, some more pottery. Let's get to, this is a cool looking, there you see that Egyptian Greece kind of hybrid thing happening with the Greek culture spreading throughout ancient Egypt as well. So let's get to, skip ahead to, that's a interesting looking thing for some oil. That looks like a little lobster claw or something. So here we have some cool looking cups, like mugs. Look at that. That's pretty cool. So you could see the Greeks were pretty creative with their everyday items. Pretty cool stuff. So there we see more people on pottery. All right, let's get to some more things. So look, more pottery, more artwork. So we're going to jump ahead now to the ancient Rome. Oh no, we're still in Greece. I'm sorry. We're about to go to ancient Rome. So these are some statues that are in that Percy Jackson hallway of things. There's different Greeks. I'm just going to keep it moving because you probably saw why. So let's keep going. So now we get into some ancient Roman kind of figures of things. So you could see some more statues that have been broken over time, pictures of the Iliad on the outside of this. So your horses would be here. Your person would be standing up on here. Now, the interesting thing about this chariot is it was not found all together. It was not found in one piece. They found pieces in a similar area and kind of put it together. But yeah, it's a Roman chariot that's on display. And then this gives you a really cool view of the Roman kind of gallery. So the Romans exhibit in the Metropolitan Museum of Art. It's like a courtyard you see here with lots of different statues of ordinary people. There's some statues of different gods and goddesses that you could check out, but it's pretty cool. Oh, and this is from the main entrance to the museum. You know you're on the Greek and Roman side if you see that person there. All right. Oh, I am not that person. That's weird. So thank you, random person from the internet, for the videos. So the last thing that I want to leave you with on our little virtual tour of the Metropolitan Museum of Art is there's so much more to the Met than just what you saw in Egypt, Greece, and Rome. They have fancy paintings. They have just amazing pieces of art from almost every culture all around the world. So this little video is going to give you kind of like the greatest hits of the Met. So let's check it out.
The Metropolitan Museum of Art is home to over 5,000 years of art from across the globe, including impressionist masterpieces, icons of American art, even an Egyptian temple. Wherever you're from, your history can be found in our galleries. It's a place where you can explore and discover at your own pace, guided by your curiosity, or through our fantastic programs for visitors, including tours in 10 languages and great family activities. The museum is open 7 days a week, including Friday and Saturday evening. So visit the Met and see the world.
All right. So unfortunately, that concludes our little virtual tour. Like I said, I wish I could take you there in person. It's one of the many things that unfortunately we're not able to do this year. But hopefully by what you saw today, it gives you some, insight at what the museum has. And hopefully it's something that you and your family do, one day during the summer or some other time when things are back to normal. All right. And if you do go, what I want you to do is definitely come find me or send me an email and tell me all about it because I'd love to hear about it. All right. I'll see you soon.